India to roll out policy for large-scale manufacturing of solar equipments. Why India must boost domestic production of solar power components. What are the challenges affecting the domestic PV manufacturing industry in India? How can India become self-reliant in the manufacturing of solar power components? GS Paper 3, Conservation, Renewable Energy. What is the context about? India is working on a plan for making domestic manufacturing of solar power generation equipments competitive in relation to the other countries such as China. As part of this strategy, the government plans to come out with a policy to promote manufacturing of the entire range of solar power generation equipment in the country. Also, this comes in the backdrop of the WTO striking down India's local content requirements for solar cells and modules last year. Note, the US had challenged India's solar panel procurement policies at the WTO, claiming that it discriminated against foreign manufacturers. Why India must boost domestic production of solar power components. The Indian solar energy sector is in the middle of unprecedented growth, fed by rapidly declining tariffs, improved technology and a global oversupply of photovoltaic panels and other material, mainly in China. Although a smaller market than the United States, China or Japan, it is expanding the fastest among major nations. Recent market reports suggest that an oversupply situation is building up in PV, photovoltaic, module manufacturing in China. This has forced Chinese industry, particularly Tier 2 firms, to lower prices and look at overseas markets. At the same time, Chinese demand had slowed down sharply in 2016. Thus, to reduce large-scale imports from China, India must boost domestic production of solar power components. What are the challenges affecting the domestic PV manufacturing industry in India? The Indian PV industry is mostly dependent on the import of critical raw materials and components such as silicon wafers, ethylene vinyl acetate, polymers. Despite the surplus availability of polysilicon, the ingredient from which silicon wafers are derived, across the globe, the industry is dominated by a few players. There is a dearth of skilled labor which makes the survival and competitiveness of the industry doubtful. With rapid advances in cell-making technology worldwide, Indian manufacturers are finding it difficult to keep pace with their global counterparts. Also, domestic manufacturers lack the inclination and funds to pursue R&D activities. How can India become self-reliant in the manufacturing of solar power components? Facilitating access to low-cost and longer tenure finance for the manufacturers is a must. There should be adequate incentives towards R&D and commercialization of novel technologies to support polysilicon and cell manufacturing. The government should also support large-scale pilot projects engaging the high-pressure fluidized bed reactor (FBR) technology to manufacture polysilicon. Monocrystalline silicon cells should be financed and encouraged via public-private cooperation. The government's plan to train and create a skilled workforce under the National Skill Development Mission (NSTM) is a great initiative which could help transform and take the solar sector to greater heights.